Well, see, those fights didn't happen. A lot of politics come into the boxing game, where though we cheat the fans out of the best fights because, Top Rank and Bob Byrne, they had Danny Romero, they had Johnny Chappie, as well as Michael Carbajal. So when I became Danny Romero number one contender, he made Danny Romero vacate the belt. Then when I moved up to 115, and I was Johnny Chappie number one contender, he got Johnny Chappie to, vacate the belt. So Top Rank and Bob Byrne, they don't have nothing to do with me fighting none of their fights.
Okay. Johnny, you got any questions, my man?
Going through your career, who would you say was the toughest opponent that you had to fight against?
Well, I say all of them. You know what I mean? I say all of them because, those guys prepared just like I prepared. So, I say all of them. But one fight in particular, the Raton Jimenez fight in 93, when I never went past 10 rounds, and I fought him at a 12-round decision. And, I never fought 8 rounds or 10 rounds. I went straight from a 6-rounder to a 12-rounder fighting the guy who just lost for a world title, and he was number 2 in the world. So, that was the fight that catapulted me, to make people start watching. And as a matter of fact, the Enrique and Roscoe fight in Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, that was a tough fight. That's the fight I got my eye socket broke in the 3rd round. So to fight through that for 12 rounds and knock him out for 12 rounds, it was tough.
Okay. How was that feeling of beating Francisco Giro for the IBF flyweight title?
Well, I had watched Francisco Teodoro maybe 6 months before that when he fought Danny Romero. I thought he beat Danny Romero, but Danny Romero had the IBF title. So, when I moved down, when I started moving up the ranking, and Danny Romero was number 1, that's what I wanted to do. So when he gave it up, then, Teodoro became the number 2 contender.
Okay.
Out of losing his belt to Danny Romero. So, it is what it is. I think, when you look at the boxing game now, to me, you still got a lot of great fighters out there, a lot of good fighters. I think the game is watered down. The reason why I say it's watered down because, back in the day when you had Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler, you had all those guys, and they, and they gave the people the fights that they wanted to see.
Right.
But now,
right.
Now it's all a business. If you got a guy, and he's not promoted by you or managed by you, you do everything you can do to avoid those people. So, I think the game is watered down. Most importantly, they're not even giving the people, the right fights, the fights that they want to see. I look at the Manny Pacquiao situation. I don't know. I just don't know and understand how people are buying into Manny Pacquiao when everybody he fights is top-ranked fighters, because he's a top-ranked fighter.
Definitely.
Everybody he fights has good names, but they're already dead. You know what I mean? So if the average person that really don't know, if you're not really researching boxing, these are the people that they tricking with the names. You see him fighting Oscar De La Hoya at 147 pounds, a weight that Oscar haven't made in 10 years. So he was dead. He killed himself on the scale. You got Miguel Cotto, a guy that fought 147 pounds, always had trouble making weight, and he fought him at 144. It killed him with that. Then you come back with Margarita, and people buy into this Margarita thing. After, he was caught with tasks on his hands and beat Cotto, then he come right back and get stopped by Sugar Shane Mosley, who I thought at that time was dead. So, a lot of people getting caught up in the watered down boxing now.
Definitely, I agree with you. To me, Pacquiao is a good fighter, but he's kind of overrated and hyped up. Because first, I was to call him a paper champ because he wins all his belts mostly off of catch weight. I'm at the point where if you want to fight somebody for a title and say you're fighting for the junior middleweight, go to 154.
Right.
I overcome the 150.
Right. I mean, and you also look at the Oscar De La Hoya fight. When Floyd fought him, he fought him at 154 pounds. And I try to tell people it's a difference. Then 1 and 2 and 3 pounds make a major difference. Then you go back to me. The fight that I wanted and we were working on was Mark Johnson and Chiquito Hernandez. Him and Michael Carbajal had those good wars, those 3 wars. There was the two smallest guys that got $1 million apiece. That was unheard of at that time. So I wanted to get in that round robin game. But I kind of stirred up Chiquito Gonzalez so much that I was telling him, we could fight at 110, a catch weight, because he was the 108 champion, I was the 112 champion. Let's meet at 110, and if I beat you, I only want your belts, I'm gonna get him back. So we had a confirmation for that fight that was gonna be done, and he lost that night to Simone Chacharron, who took the title from him. So it's a watered down game now, man.
Oh, most definitely.
As coming up the rankings in the fight game, who did you idolize coming up? Like, who was your favorite fighter, or who you like to mimic, or somebody you liked in the ring as coming up watching boxing and being in boxing?
I mean, I love to watch Hector Camacho. Not even really for his boxing skills, but just to see what kind of uniform he was gonna wear. But Ray Leonard, Ray Robinson, Joe Louis. It's kind of funny because at that time I loved James Toney and Iran Buckley, the wars that they had. Yeah. But so I just try to grab a little bit of them, all of them, and just try to take one piece at a time and fit it into me. That way I know I have, a complete package.
Yes, sir. You was a complete fighter. Question for you. What suggestions would you make to bring the boxing game back to the forefront?
Well, see, right now, I think last year that HBO had 54 dates. This year, I think they're going to only have 24 dates. The Manny Pacquiao, Shane Mosley fight, for some odd reason, Showtime took over that. So now Showtime is beginning to be a major player back in the boxing game. They want to bring boxing back on live TV, CBS, NBC, and things like that. So it remains to be seen. But once again, the promoters and the managers, they're never going to work together to try to put these big fights on, and that's why you're seeing a lot of these watered down fights. And the crazy part is they having all this stuff on HBO, which is crazy. I mean, on pay-per-view. Right. And I tell people this all the time when they say about Floyd and the Pacquiao. First of all, every fighter took the urine directly after the fight, or even sometime before the fight.
Right.
So what I say to that is, if you this mega champion, you should be able to get your blood taken or, your urine tested at a drop of a dime. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't doing nothing, I mean, like all the other champions, when they step up, they don't, you see nobody else complaining about urine tests. You don't see nobody else complaining about, doing different things. I mean, so it remains to be seen.
Oh, most definitely. Another question, one of the other reasons I wanted you on is you beat Fernando Montiel, and he has coming up with Nonito Donaire. What is your take on that fight, and can you tell us a little bit about that fight that you won when he was on his way up?
I had just beat his cousin maybe 2 years ago.
Right.
And 2 years before I fought him. It was kind of funny to see and fight a guy that really was a Mexican fighter, but he had boxing skills like an African American, or even like or even like, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Right.
And that was odd for me, because I'm the boxer. So in that fight, I had to become the aggressor. But I think he beats Nonito Donaire. I think Donaire is I just think he does a lot of things wrong, and I think Fernando Montiel is when you see this guy watching him on TV, a lot of people don't see how good he really is. I think he'll beat Nonito Donaire though.
Wow. You got me changing my pick now. Johnny, you got another question, my man?
I'm cool. I'm good with everything you said.
I have one other question. Being that it's Black History Month, we got the shortest month as it is anyway, but how do you feel about being the first African American to win the titles at flyweight and super flyweight?
I mean, that was that was my whole goal when I figured out that no one had did it. That was my goal. So when I made that goal, not just becoming a world champion, but to be the first to do something, that's something that can never be taken away from you. But it still remains to be a open and shut case. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is probably give me a PR person. We're gonna start blowing the thing up a little more.
Right.
But most importantly, it's kind of funny because when you're talking about somebody the first or someone did something, they go back to these people who's not living.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you got a young guy right here that's a living legend, and for some odd reason, you say it's Black History Month, but you don't acknowledge it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't acknowledge it. So I mean, I'll start putting up a better fight now, because I got a lot of things I want to do. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Is there anybody in the boxing game that you're still watching, or are you still watching the boxing game?
Oh man, without a doubt. Like I said, after every fight, you start shadow boxing and saying you're going back in the gym. But I mean, I watch all fights. I mean, there's no one person that I totally look at. I just want Mayweather and Pacquiao to go ahead and make that fight. That's a good fight to see. I think Floyd needs maybe a tune-up first, but I think Floyd beats him easy.
Okay. I know you're down in the D.C. area, so is you lending a helping hand to the Peterson brothers and maybe Paul Williams?
Well, I see Paul from time to time, but I'm real close with the Petersons, as well as their coach Barry. Me and him on the phone maybe 3-4 days a week. And, we were just talking about a lot of different things. So, yeah, I definitely talk to them a lot.
Okay. I know Paul can use a little help right about now.
I just tell people this. Paul Williams was a good, he's a good champion. His offense was his defense.
Right.
One thing about boxing, if you look at Lamont Peterson, you look at, you look at Paul Williams, and you look at Margarita. When you're fighting and you give up all your benefits, such as your height, your arm reach, and your boxing skills, nothing good comes from it. You may beat people because of being a boxer. Your reach is longer, you're taller. But when you break down to your opponent's size, it's easy to hit you, and we've seen that with Lamont against Timothy Bradley, and we've seen it against Margarita and Pacquiao, and we've seen it against Paul Williams. For some odd reason, I don't know why people get their hype up.